I think what happened in that trade was Neil Huntington said, I want Chris Archer. I don't care what it takes to get him. I want Chris Archer. And I'm just, why? When you look at his numbers, they weren't that good. Maybe he was good a few years ago, but I don't know. And to throw in, not only do you include Glasnow and Meadows, but your first round draft pick from like a year ago, who might actually end up being really good. Oh, it just defies explanation.
Welcome back to another episode of Too Much Podtar, as another episode in our 30 Teams and 30 Pod series, as we continue the series with the Pirates. And for this episode, I have Joey Bag of Donuts on here, Joey Toscano. Is that how you say your last name?
Sure.
Okay.
Good enough.
And Johnny Black from the Scorecard again. He's been a consistent guy on this pod, so welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Great to be on again.
Yeah. So, obviously the Pirates, they did not have a good season last year. 69 wins. Well, I mean, nice. 69. But, they had a complete breakdown in the second half. They just fell right off. They were actually they were right in the race, the division race. Obviously, the division wasn't really the best in the first half, but they were still right there, but then ended up finishing, obviously, 22 games back. So, what did you bring from the season that was at least something positive?
They fired everyone. That was the only positive. It was an absolute, like you said, it started off great. First half, they did all right. They were in the division race right up until the All-Star break. Everything was fine, and then they had one of the greatest collapses of any team maybe ever. It was absolutely, I think at one point in July they went 4-24 or something like that. It was absolutely unbelievable. I've never seen a team fall apart like that, and I don't know why. I don't know exactly what happened, but everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Josh Bell, who was an absolute monster. I mean, they were talking about him breaking like the home run record and stuff. And he just went from a great first half to just absolutely a horrible second half. And just the entire team was like that. And then, and that was the team losing so much was actually the best thing that happened. There was the Felipe Vasquez thing, which is, well, I don't know if you know about that, but he'll be in jail for a long time. Players were getting in fights. It was an absolute disaster, and it resulted in Clint Hurdle and Neil Huntington getting fired. And I wasn't even sure that was going to happen. Hurdle kind of had to go because, he's a good guy, but I guess his time was up. But Neil Huntington he just needed to go. This is really, it's all his fault. He was the general manager for many years, and he had some successes, but many huge failures. And I think the biggest one was the Chris Archer trade, and that just is a PR disaster. So they fired him. They brought in Charrington and Derek Skelton, I believe his name is, as a manager. And so and a whole new, and the team president Frank Coonelly also is gone. So basically a whole new management team, which is sorely needed, and hopefully will bring in something different.
Yeah, I agree with everything Joey just said. It was a blessing in disguise that they fell apart in the second half. The Hurdle needed to go. Hurdle was there for 9 years. Huntington was there for 12. It was just, it's time for change. It's a new decade. They finished in last place last year. It's just, and then, like you said, that Chris Archer deal, it's just a disaster. That was a disaster. I don't even know you can't even explain it. Like that.
It is beyond explanation. Like how did this happen? How did you do this? Like he should have been fired as soon as like 2 weeks after the trade was made, or as soon as it was obvious what he gave up and what he got back. I mean, and I think honestly, I think that affects Archer. I mean, not that he was that great to begin with, but when all you hear is, "Oh my God, we traded this schmuck for three really good guys." What the heck is wrong with him? I mean, that has to wear on somebody. So,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
you know, it's just been a disaster. He has not been good at all, and I mean, look what what they got going to Tampa Bay was just they were just amazing. So it could not look worse, and you cannot, when you're a small market team with the Pirates with a low payroll, you cannot make mistakes like that, and that one was enormous.
Yeah. And the thing that is weird about this whole thing too is that they traded Austin Meadows, who they had control of for, at the time, like 5 years. They traded him, yet now they're looking to trade Starling Marte to get pieces back. They let Corey Dickerson go. Like, I mean, if you're like, why are you trading one of your top prospects who's an outfielder for a pitcher when you need outfield help? You're going to need the outfield help. Like, you're going to need these guys. Granted, they have Swaggerty in the minor leagues, but I mean,
he's at least a couple years away.
Meadows, like, didn't make sense because it didn't fit, not just the talent wise, what Meadows and Glasgow and Shane Baz going to Tampa Bay. Not only was it bad talent wise what they got back, but also too what fits the team. Did they really need Chris Archer when they had Glasnow already, and they got rid of an outfielder who was up and coming? And yet now you look at it 2 years later, and they're like, "All right, we're going to trade Starling Marte. We're going to like, well, you should have just held on to the outfielder and the pitcher at that point."
Here's a sad thing about Glasnow. When he was with the Pirates, he was a disaster. He was just inconsistent. It just did not work, and he looked like a major bust. And if he continued to stay with the Pirates, he probably would have been uh, a bust. He probably would not have been successful. It's just,
Yeah.
and that, I mean, it's an enormous indictment of the Pirates, coaching, development, whatever you want to management, whatever you want to call it. It's a major indictment when you have a guy with insane talent and insane potential, and he's not going to be any good under you. And as soon as he goes somewhere else and just makes a little bit of change, he's dominant. That's another reason the entire management had to go. And I mean, it's the Pirates minor league system is just, they're just bad. They have one of the worst farm systems. So right after the season, the owner announced that Neil Huntington was staying, and something broke in me when that happened. I lost it. I said, you know what? I quit this team. I quit baseball. I quit everything. I quit sport. I was so angry. It's like, how do you look at this entire situation? It's like, you know what? We're gonna keep this guy. And then eventually, like a month later, they fired him. But boy, that just so angered me. Yeah, and then Austin Meadows, I don't know what they were thinking there. When he was up with the Pirates, he was playing well. I mean, maybe he was a little bit injury prone, but when he was with the Pirates, he was awesome. He was actually showing that potential. And then I think what happened in that trade was Neil Huntington said, "I want Chris Archer. I don't care what it takes to get him. I want Chris Archer." And I'm just, why? When you look at his numbers, they weren't that good. Maybe he was good a few years ago, but I don't know. And to throw in, not only do you throw in, not only do you include Glasnow and Meadows, but your first round draft pick from like a year ago, who might actually end up being really good. Oh, it just defies explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah, including Baz in that was like ridiculous.
Yeah,
because he was actually the player to be named later.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Because there was only Meadows and Glasnow, and a player to be named later. for Archer. I actually just found this out today because I didn't realize that. And they included Shane Baz as the player to be named. Like, what? Why? Like, what are you doing? You're including the player to be named later should be like your 85th prospect in your system.
Exactly.
Like,
it should be some schmuck, not one of your best prospects.
Like, not a first round pick.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that just like, yeah, when that happened, like Huntington, like you said, the day after Huntington decided that, once the owner saw that trade go through, he should have been like, "You're fired."
Yeah. Get out of here, bud.
Dude, that was I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, man. I feel bad for the Pirates because I could see them finishing in last place in that division for another year or two at least.
That's the thing. There was that 3-year period where everything was good. 2015. No, was it 14, 15? No, 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
When they made the playoffs and everything was good. And when that happened, this city just they embraced the team so much. That's the thing. Baseball fans in Pittsburgh had, before those 3 years where they made the playoffs, they didn't get over 500 for like 20 years.
Yeah.
It was and still
Bonilla days back when Julian Leland was
exactly.
Yeah.
That's how far back it was. Those early 90s teams, which were amazing. And then just 20 years of stupid general managers and stupid trades and stupid just ridiculous things, and they finally put it together. And for some reason, they didn't build on that. They basically just assumed it was always going to be good, and they did nothing when some of those players went away. And now it just fell apart. I mean, the 2020 team doesn't, on paper, doesn't look all that bad, but God, it's just hard to get excited about this team when, I mean, and it's basically the owner. The owner is, all he cares about is having a low payroll. Right now their payroll is, I believe, 59 million, something like that. It's pathetic. The owner doesn't spend anything. Uh, there's just no hope, and it's been shown that if you put a good team out there, people will come. Attendance was great when 13, 14, and 15, when they were playing really well. The attendance was high. People were coming. They were making more money. But the owner doesn't see that. They don't see, hey, if we put a good team out there, more people will come. They just say, well, attendance is low, so payroll will be low, and it'll stay low. Like, okay, dude. And it's just, yeah. The Pirates owner, Bob Nutting, is just, he is hated in this city.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, it's what it comes down to too. And Pittsburgh's always been, it's been such a sports city. I mean, you look at the Penguins, you look at the Steelers. I mean, and they will, like you said, they will come out when the Pirates are good. You look at the 90s, back in the 70s, we were family. I mean, I actually remember, because I'm old enough, Willie Stargell and Dave Parker and Bill Madlock and those guys, John Candelaria, like the old school. And they went through a tough time in the 80s. And then they came up in the 90s when Jimmy Leland was there, and you had Bonds, Bonilla, Andy Van Slyke, guys like that. And people showed up. And then they went through a lull again, like you said, for like a long time. And then McCutchen was there.
Right.
And he had McCutchen like carrying the team, and it was great. And they made the playoffs. McCutchen's an easy guy to root for, too, because he's a great dude.
Yeah.
And now look what happened. You traded him away, and it goes in cycles. I'm hoping
it was a PR disaster. they what was it, a year or 2 years ago that they traded McCutchen and Garrett Cole in like within like a week of each other, and people were ready to riot. They were so angry, and that's just how it is. That even if a player gets good, it's like, okay, we're not gonna keep him here. We're just gonna trade him, and that's how it's always going to be. They're never gonna spend 30 million on a player or anything like that. It's always gonna be, oh, good, we have somebody good. I mean, Josh Bell is going to be gone in a year or two when his rookie deal is up. It's 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 sad. It's sad. It's like the Pirates play in an entirely different league than the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Cubs and stuff like that. It's like they're playing a whole different sport.
Well, it's one thing to trade your guys. Like, I mean, I understand the business of it. Like, as far as trading McCutchen, trading Cole, I get it to a point. I mean, I get it if you're going to rebuild. But what did they get for these guys?
That's the thing.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's the
and not
thing.
only that, then they traded away their future for Chris Archer. Don't
Right.
half-ass it. If you're going to rebuild, you need to trade guys. You need to hang on to Meadows and Glasnow and Baz, and then trade guys like Meadows, McCutchen, and Cole, and get these pieces back. You need to rebuild them and rebuild and get these pieces back. And then this is your team for the next 3-4 years. And then you add one piece here, one piece there. This is what the Rays do. And they're
Exactly.
always, granted, they haven't made the World Series since 2009, but
They're successful. They could show that they've shown that a small market team can be successful. But yeah, what did they? That was the crazy thing about Neil Huntington. He never went for the future, and you're right. There never was a rebuild. It was always, well, we're gonna try to be like 82, and their literal goal was like 80 to 85 wins. Maybe that could be good enough to squeak into the playoffs. That was their actual goal. They traded Garrett Cole, one of the best pitchers of this generation, for basically garbage, because they were major league ready guys, people that sucked, but they were major league ready, because they didn't want to wait for like some good prospect that would be good 4 years from now. So you trade these superstars, you trade these good players, and get not much in return, and then that Archer thing, just like that was nothing. It was just out of nowhere.
It's one of the worst trades of the decade.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, it's a horrible trade. Austin Meadows is a top-notch like outfielder.
He's a beast.
Yeah. And then Shane Baz, who knows what he's going to be? But you know, and the thing is too, is that when you're talking about that, it's like I said, like why don't you go all in on one side or the other? It's like Huntington played it half-assed.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
You trade McCutchen and Cole, and granted, Cole, you could say the same thing about Glasnow. Like what you said about Glasnow is like in Pittsburgh, he's not going to do well, but then you trade him away and he's going to do great. You know, but why half-ass it? If you're going to trade McCutchen away and Cole away for prospects like Colin Moran, who's actually decent third baseman. I mean, he's that, you know. But I mean, if you're going to trade these guys away, these vets that you have on upcoming contracts, so you're going to trade them away to get value back. Why are you trading the value for Archer to bring Archer here?
It's not like Archer's going to put you over the top either.
Now Huntington's gone. The management team is gone, and we'll see what the new people do. Who we don't know right now. We don't know whether. I mean, I hear rumors that they're trying to trade Starling Marte.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. He's getting up there in age, and you know he's still good, so you could get something for him. But other than that, I don't know what the plan is. I mean, it's mid-January. We're what, less than a month from spring training. What's going on? Are they just going to keep this team as it is? And we have no idea what's going to happen.
I think the Pirates are going to be very active at the trade deadline because I don't think they're going to be able to trade Marte now. He's got a club option for 2021.
I can totally see. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's a trade deadline thing. I don't think they're going to be able to move him now, but I think trade deadline time, I think they'll be able to move Marte for some pieces. What the Pirates really need to do, they need to move these guys like a Marte. They need to move these guys for minor league pieces because the farm system is horrible.
Yeah,
the farm system is really a disaster.
It is.
I mean,
blow it up.
I was looking at like the MLB, like the top 100 pipeline. I was going to the teams and stuff. You guys really have like maybe 3-4 guys that are actually, in my opinion, I was looking at them, MLB potential. Maybe 3-4 guys.
Well, the funny thing is,
they're top. Like, maybe this guy will be a reliever, and maybe this guy will be. But other than that, I don't see it.
Their top prospect is Mitch Keller, who was up last year, and he was an absolute disaster. So we might be looking at another Tyler Glass now. We might be looking at another guy that, like, oh, he's horrible with the Pirates. He can't get it together. And then maybe if he goes with another team, he'll just suddenly put it all together. We'll see. But yeah, you're right. You're right. The minor league system is bad. It's very possible. It's like what you said, that they'll wait till the trade deadline. Maybe this is a whole, wait and see thing. Maybe, the general manager and the manager are looking to say, hey, let's see what we have with this team. And then we'll figure out, who we're going to keep and who we're going to get rid of. So this entire, at least the first part of the season could be just a whole big evaluation period.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing with Sherrington and Derek Shelton. I mean, I'm a Twins fan. Derek Shelton was the bench coach for us last year in Minnesota. So he was Baldelli's bench coach. And he's been around the major leagues he's been a coach for a good 15 years now. Because I was looking at his profile, and he was an Indians coach for a while, and he was with the Rays from 2010 to 2016. So, I mean, he's been around the game, and he's been around the more analytic side of the game, which is good. And Sherrington, I can't argue with what Sherrington did with the Red Sox. I mean, he did get him a World Series in 2013. I mean, he's not horrible.
Right.
So, and Sherrington knows Shelton. So, I mean, I think the relationship there will be good. It's gonna be a rebuild, man. It's gonna be a rebuild, and how they rebuild it, we'll see. But yeah, I don't see. They don't have a lot of. The thing is, they don't have a lot of trade pieces.
Right.
So I mean, getting players back and getting prospects back. I mean, Starling Marte is one of the biggest pieces. Other than that, I don't see what they trade. I mean. It's fine. Your infield is decent. Josh Bell is good at first. You got Colin Murray at third. Kevin Newman playing shortstop. But I mean, I don't know.
The funny thing is, last year, the strength of the team was supposed to be the pitching, and the huge weakness of the team was supposed to be the hitting, and it turned out to be the exact opposite. The hitting was actually very good last year. Frazier had a good year. It was his first year full-time as a second baseman. Newman had a breakout year. He looked very good. Brian Reynolds was awesome. There were a lot of, there's a lot of potential there. But as far as the pitching, it was an absolute disaster, and it just doesn't look much better. It's the rotation is going to be Musgrove, Trevor Williams, good old Chris Archer, And then who knows? Maybe Steven Brault. Maybe. Ooh, I'm not even. Yeah, maybe they'll bring up Mitch Keller. So who even knows who that fourth and fifth guy is going to be? Unfortunately, Tyon, who is their best pitcher, got hurt again.
Yeah.
So who knows how long he's going to be out? I think he had like another Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, second time. That's bad, man. Not good.
Not good.
You have TJ the second time. I feel bad for Tyon too. I mean, the dude was
good guy. I mean, he's overcome cancer. Such a good guy, but it's like you just can't stay healthy, and who knows if he'll even be able to come back.
Yeah, second Tommy John. It's rough, man.
Yeah,
the second time around, it's although you look at he could come back as like a reliever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you look at someone like Dakota Hudson. If I'm not mistaken, Dakota Hudson has had 2 Tommy John surgeries too. And look what he did with the Nationals last year being a closer. I mean, so you don't know. You don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Ty ain't gonna be something else. I mean, like I said, feel bad for the kid, but I don't know. Yeah, the pitching staff: Musgrove, Archer, Keller, Brault. Yeah, it's not looking good. It's just not looking good.
No. I mean, I know that was the trend last year that pitching sucked for everybody, but I mean, you look at the numbers. My goodness, it's just it's frightening how bad the the pitch. I mean, God, did anybody even have an ERA below 5? Well, Joe Musgrove ERA 4.44. That was the best one.
Yeah.
There you go.
Musgrove could be decent.
He's okay.
He's all right. Yeah. But he's not, you don't have an ace is the thing. Is that Archer, Musgrove, Keller. No, they're all 3s, 4s, maybe a 2. Keller's upside is probably a 2.
Yeah.
But there's no ace. There's nobody on your staff. And we say that, I said this last night about the Padres lineup, but I'll apply it to the Pirates pitching staff. There's no one that scares you.
Exactly.
There's no ace there. There's no one. We said that about the Padres lineup last night when we did the podcast, and it was like, yeah, there's no one in that lineup that scares you. Well, there's no one in the rotation for the Pirates that scares anybody. Everyone's like, like Scherzer, DeGrom, like guys like that. It's like, all right, check that day off. Like, let's see, there's no one like that. Pirates.
Yeah. You know who they had that was scary? Garrett Cole. Oops, what happened there?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, they traded him away. He got a lot better when he got to Houston.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, guys used to get better when they went to Pittsburgh. What happened to Ray Searage? What happened to all that? What happened to that? Jay Happ went there and became like a world beater, and he got this huge contract.
That used to be the thing. Remember, AJ Burnett. AJ Burnett sucked with the Yankees. He comes to the Pirates, and he's an ace. And that was all Ray Searage, and and that's the thing. It's like, they kind of relied on that too much. Then they started bringing in just all kinds of junk guys and say, "Oh, don't worry, Ray Searage will fix them." It's like he's a good coach. He's not he's not a wizard. I mean, there's only so much he could do, and then it just ran out. I think maybe they blamed Chris Archer on Ray Searage. It's like, oh, Ray Searage will fix them. Well, no, and he got fired too.
Yeah, well, he couldn't fix Glass now.
Exactly.
It's cool. So why would you think that he would fix Archer?
Yep.
You know, not you personally, but I mean, it's just say why was that, an assumption? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I feel with the Yankees too. Some of their pitchers, they move on and then they ended up pitching better elsewhere. Like you said with Burnett, he ended up pitching better in Pittsburgh. There's some other guys I can't think of right now, but Sonny Gray, that's another one that comes to mind. That was so frustrating.
I think there's something about pitching in New York. I think it takes a certain type of person, and you could either handle it or you can't. I think just that environment, very high pressure, very, large media scrutiny. You could either handle it or you can't. And I know, AJ Burnett hated it and he loved being in Pittsburgh. He was, in Pittsburgh, he was a big fish in a small pond, and it was perfect for him. And I credit AJ Burnett and Clint Hurdle with changing the entire culture of the team. I mean, it was kind of like expected that like the players in the organization had this expectation of we suck, we're always going to suck, we're not going to win anything, and AJ Burnett and Clint Hurdle changed that. And I think they were a big reason for, all the success in 13, 14, and 15. But, that only lasts so long.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the culture change is coming now with Sherrington and Derek Shelton.
Hopefully.
There's going to be another culture change, and I think the Pirates will be good in a couple of years. They need to rebuild. They're in the position that like the Tigers are in. They really don't have a minor league system. They really have to rebuild. Like it's really grassroots now. Rebuild time. So they're going to stink for a couple of years.
Well, Sherrington's thing is he's supposed to be good at player development. That's going to take time. I mean, yeah, if you have some really good drafts or something like that, you're going to see the results of them like 3, 4, 5 years from now. So,
Well, especially if you're drafting. I mean, if you're drafting a high school kid, you took it 4 years.
Exactly.
You drafted a kid at 18 years old. You expect him to make the major leagues at maybe 21. But I mean, not everyone's Juan Soto and Ronald Acuna. They can just show up in the major leagues at 19 years old. We've been spoiled these past couple of years with these young kids, real young kids, making the major leagues and actually making an impact. Fernando Tatis Jr., Juan Soto, Ronald Acuna, all these guys that have come in that have made their mark already, and they're 20, 21 years old. This doesn't happen all the time. And you can't count on that. Generally, it's players like a Pete Alonso, who's 24 now. His rookie year was 23, 24. That's generally when it happens. So you can't count on these high school kids and stuff like that just all of a sudden bolting up. So I mean, I think the Pirates need to look at their draft and see these guys who are in college who could possibly move up to the major leagues quicker, rather than drafting these high school kids, if they feel that they can actually make it in the next couple of years, make an impact at least.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I mean, another thing that helped those teams in 13, 14, and 15 is they found, gems in I remember Russell Martin and then Francisco Cervelli, and they found bargains that worked out. So I mean, those guys are out there too. So you can have, while if you have some good drafts or have or waiting for those guys, maybe you could get some, get lucky with some of those guys. And that was another problem with Huntington, is he did get lucky for a while and then that ran out.
Right, I agree with that. Yeah, so even now with this free agency this year, they can pick up somebody that can give them at least something positive of the season, like at least somebody has a positive WAR or something. I remember the Tigers podcast, which was the first one I did with Tom Green. He was saying that like Tigers need guys that at least give some kind of positive impact to the team, like picking up guys that have like at least like a one WAR for last year or something like that. So that's definitely something that you can look for.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you expect for this upcoming season? What do you think are they gonna improve at all? What do you think they're gonna be like record wise? Like I'd probably say somewhere around like the same amount of wins. I don't think they're gonna improve that much. I don't really see much of an improvement from them. They have pretty much, especially if they stay with the same roster they have, I don't think they're gonna really improve. So I think maybe somewhere around like 72 wins or something like that. So
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking somewhere between 70 to 75 wins is realistic. Yeah, yeah, I think that's barring a disaster, I think that's pretty realistic.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'd say I'd agree with that. I don't see them finishing with more than 75. I mean, if I had to guess, I'd probably say 72, but that's about all I can say. Especially in the division they're in. Like we talked about, the Cardinals are still a good team. The Brewers team. The Cubs are solid. Granted, they're getting older and they're getting more expensive, but they still got another year in them. The Reds have improved a lot. I just see I see the Pirates in last place again. 72 wins, 90 losses. Yeah, I'd go with that.
What do you think's gonna happen to Marte or anything like that?
Yeah, I think they're gonna trade him eventually because, like Johnny said, he is their biggest piece, and if it's not now, it'll be at the trade deadline, and we'll see. We'll see. It's just it's very interesting to see, but at least at least they got rid of Huntington. At least they got rid of the management, so there's some hope, and hope is all right. If the thing about this season is, okay, maybe they're not going to win a division or something like that, but if it looks like there's hope for the future, then we'll be okay with that. At least there's something to hold on to. But this holding pattern crap, or let's make some dumb trades or something like that, then people are just going to be disgusted.
This is why I feel so spoiled as a Yankees fan. Like we pretty much make the playoffs every single year, and it's like we never have to go through a rebuild. Even when we were quote unquote rebuilding, it was basically one season of not being good, and then the next season we were right back in it. So
must be nice.
Yeah, it must be nice. I'm a Twins fan, so yeah, it must be nice. We got our second 100-win season last year in our history. And of course, we lost 3 in a row to the Yankees.
Yeah.
As is custom.
As is custom. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
It happens all the time. And like I said to Alex last night, I was like, I think the Twins will make the World Series as long as we don't have to play the Yankees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as we don't have to go through the Yankees, that's fine. Yankees finish first seed, we finish second, and then the wild card knocks them off. We're good.
There you go.
I mean, I don't know. I think they're gonna be scared of them this year though, because with the Donaldson move, I think that's makes them that would make them a lot better than last year even. So.
Oh, Donaldson! I loved it. I was so excited when the Twins signed Donaldson. So excited. I don't know. But dude's just a beast. I don't understand like the hate that he gets, like as far as being injury prone. I don't understand that, and everything. But the guy's one of the best third basemen in the league.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I think I just saw today Altuve said that the Astros are going to the World Series.
Oh,
Uh, I think I think the Astros will lead the league in hitters hit by pitches.
yeah.
I think everybody's going to be mad at them. So, and I mean, yeah, I guess you could score runs when your guys kept getting hit by pitches, and you're just walking home and walking in runs or whatever from all the HBPs. But yeah, what a crazy situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had every single player had the same statement, like the same PR statement was like, what the hell was it?
The commissioner
Commissioner,
had his phone. Okay.
commissioner did his report, and that's it. I'm not talking about it.
Okay.
It's like, oh,
well,
buddy, we don't believe you one bit, so shut up.
they're not going to talk about it. I mean, they're not going to say anything. They have to do their thing. Like I saw that video. Alex Bregman was just like, "Oh, the commissioner said this, and that is what it is." And well, you have to kind of have that mentality too, because, dude, he's going to be asked about this all during the season, and this is part of the reason why I said the Astros aren't going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is going
Definitely
to hang
not.
in their heads. Now, granted, they have a new manager, Joe Espada, who's been in the organization. I just don't think. I think this is all going to get to them. This is all going to get to them. And granted, the Astros fans and everybody is saying that, like, oh, this is gonna, we're gonna prove them wrong, blah blah blah. I don't think it's gonna happen.
No.
I think they're gonna fold. I really do. I think they're gonna fold under the pressure, as far as the constant media questions and everything like that. Always having to answer it, always having to deal with it. We all know baseball's a grind, man. It's a grind every single day. And like you said before, why do people go to New York and they can't perform? Randy Johnson, Kevin Brown. I can name quite a few people. Ed Whitson. I can name quite a few
Right.
people from back in the day that they go to New York and they just can't get it done. Why is that? It's not anything on the field. It's the media.
Yeah.
And this is what I think the national media is going to do. And we all know social media. So I think the Astros are really going to fold this year. I think they're going to fall apart. And they're not going to make the playoffs at all.
I agree with that. And the other thing too was with the interviews too. Though it's like, kind of feel like they were acting like the victims. Like it's like, oh, we're gonna prove everybody wrong. Blah blah blah. But like, it's not like you like had something done against you. You're the one who did it to yourself. It's
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, it's very weird that I think possibly we might be just seeing the beginning of this
Yeah.
whole thing, and this isn't the end of it. This might be the beginning, because I mean, they're saying, well, it was player driven, and the players did this and stuff. It's like, well, but no players were punished, just a couple managers. Kind of weird.
Mhm.
So, and I think people are going to keep finding evidence. There's there's not much going on between now and spring training, so all people have to do is look through old games and find more video evidence.
Yeah.
Well, the players were offered immunity. So that's one thing that Manfred did. So
Okay.
as far as Altuve and Bregman and guys like that, Springer and Correa and all the major players in there, they were offered immunity for their testimony, basically. But I don't know if you saw this, but Congress may be getting involved. There's a bill, there's something in Congress to get involved to investigate this. So MLB is trying to say that, all right, we're going to investigate. They're investigating the Red Sox right now, and that I'm sure will probably be done by the end of the month, because they want this done before pitchers and catchers report. But there is a letter going to the Congress saying that they need to investigate this further. If Congress gets involved, now we're going to have the steroid thing. You remember when Sammy Sosa and Palmeiro and
That's
McGuire,
right. They all had to testify before Congress.
well, if this thing goes to Congress, this is like a major thing. So all the other teams that are like, oh yeah, it's just the Astros and the Red Sox, we're good. Well, all those other teams are going to be like, fuck me.
Yeah.
It's Congress investigating it now.
This is a
And they're
major thing.
Yeah. So
Um,
this is going to be a lot bigger
You know,
than even what it is right now.
when the news came out and they said, "Oh, we suspended the general manager and the manager of the Astros for a year and blah blah blah. We've taken away draft picks," and people were like, "Oh wow, that's a big punishment." It's like, wait a minute. If it was that serious, that punishment wasn't big enough.
Yeah, it's people were saying stuff like, "Oh, if that's the punishment, I'll take a World Series over losing all that doing just that."
Right.
It's like, Jesus.
You know, I mean, and we're talking about, yeah. I mean, if we have a congressional investigation or something like that, ooh, I don't know. This could get real interesting.
It's not going away. It's not going away.
No.
As much as people are like, all right, I'm done with the Astros got caught, Red Sox are under investigation, it's over. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so quite yet. I think it's gonna take a little longer. I mean, I think a lot of other teams are gonna be indicted in this. And a lot of other stuff's gonna come out.
Yeah.
There have already been articles that have named 8 other teams where players have said, you know, how accurate this is, I don't know. Just saying that I read an article that there were 8 other teams named in like possible, sign stealing and stuff like that. And it includes the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, the Rangers. Like, so I don't know.
The players knew it was going on. I don't know, to what extent, but they knew something was going on. There was, oh God, I don't know what team it was, but it was, it was a pitcher and catcher, and the pitcher got so angry and frustrated because he knew that they knew what he knew that what he was pitching, what he was going to throw. So he just calls in the catcher and says, "Listen, no matter what happens, the next 4 pitches are heater, heater, change up, heater." And then and then we'll just go from that. So
yeah,
it's this just could be the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is the tip of the iceberg. I think there's a lot more involved. There's no way you can tell me with the players having immunity and with Houston getting caught like they did, and if Boston is caught, Dombrowski, Cora, and all these guys, you mean to tell me they're not going to go to MLB, especially if Congress is involved, and be like, yeah, I'll testify. Because I know. You know what I mean? Like, if they know something about other teams, you mean to tell me they're not going to do that? Hell yeah, they will.
Yep.
This is gonna be big. This is gonna be a lot bigger than it is now. And it's bad in a sense that it takes away from the actual season. It takes away from the actual baseball that's being played on the field. But it's a huge thing. They need to curb this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. This is way bigger than the steroid stuff. Steroid stuff was okay, yeah, they got stronger, whatever. But this is just blatant cheating.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah, and the steroid stuff was individual players choosing to do that. Yes,
Yeah.
it was rampant, no doubt. But is individual. This what we're talking about, the cheating with the Astros, and if it's other teams, we're talking about an organizational thing. Like
Right.
managing GMs, like they know about like how to use this technology to cheat the game. That's that's pretty serious.
Yeah. And like with steroids, you don't know what's coming. So it's like you get stronger, but it doesn't mean anything. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what pitch is coming.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Well, someone that even said it on Twitter. It was like, it was one of the pitchers. I forget who it was. It was a pitcher, though, from like the 90s. I can't remember who it was.
Uh,
It was like, I'd rather pitch to Bonds on steroids than pitch to a player who knows what pitch is coming.
Exactly.
yeah.
If you know what pitch is coming, you pretty much any major league hitter is going to hit it. Pretty much. Just because you're on steroids doesn't mean that you're going to hit the pitch. You still have to recognize the pitch. You still have to, like, there's a lot more involved.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you guys see like all the tweets from like Mike Clevenger and Trevor Bauer? Like they were like so pissed about it. Like they're coming out and saying all this shit, and that's even more than just them. There's a bunch of players that are saying about stuff.
Well, what about Justin Verlander, who
Mm-hmm.
who never hesitates to say something, and he's been very quiet about all this.
Yeah, I think he's got to be quiet, though. I don't think, if I were him, I wouldn't say anything either. I'm not going to throw myself out there. But yeah, Trevor Bauer, Mike Clevenger, I love those guys.
Yeah.
Those guys on Twitter. Trevor Bauer is
Trevor Bauer is amazing. He will fight. He will fight anybody.
I wanted him on the Yankees so bad last year. I wanted him to be traded.
And he even said when he was going through the arbitration the past 2 years, well, now he's going to be a free agent after this year. But he was even saying, he was like, I'll go 1 year deals, rest of my career.
Mm-hmm.
1 year deal. So I give him a lot of credit for doing his thing and being like, yeah, I'll prove it every year.
Follow me on Twitter. I am at Joey Bag of Donuts, and it's a V instead of an F. I'm on there basically 24/7. I really don't sleep, and I tweet a lot, so I'm always active, and I'll always engage with people. I mostly talk about Pittsburgh stuff. I also have a podcast called The Donut Bag, and it's mostly Pittsburgh stuff. I also do some silly things also, but yeah, I podcast almost as much as I tweet. I podcast a lot too. So yeah, check me out.
Yeah. Check us out on the Scorecrow, at the Scorecrow on Twitter. And we follow Joey Bag of Donuts, so I mean, everything he does we'll retweet and stuff like that. But yeah. And the at too much Podsar. Was it at Podsar?
Yeah,
and yeah, check us out on there.
Yeah, and then Instagram too is too much pod tour. I keep forgetting to like actually use it, but I'm to try getting into using that more because then I can put some of the episode clips on there, and then people can see that on there too. But yeah, there's another episode for the 30 teams and 30 pods, and this coming week we're going to be coming out with some more episodes. Tomorrow, actually, going to be recording the White Sox one, so that'll be out beginning of next week, probably Monday or Tuesday. And then next week, I'm also going to be recording the Red Sox one and a couple other ones I got set for recording. So that'll definitely keep an eye out for those. And as we go throughout all 30 teams in the major leagues, and then as the season gets underway, we'll probably go back to kind of try to do weekly episodes, maybe every like Monday or Tuesday, something like that. And obviously with the other podcasts as well, with Johnnie and Joey, they'll be doing DFS pod. So I'm trying to do it at least a couple of times a week. So keep an eye out with those for the season. And just a reminder, you never have too much pod tar.